What's up, CHFFL? And finally, welcome to 2024. Your previews are here. Obviously, I have not been able to get to CHFFL activities as frequently as I normally would in the off season. What with a new job that's a little more demanding, a new house Stella and I got, and I'm getting married in less than a week. But I always will get your previews out. They're just going to be a little bit of an abridged version this year. We're going to get through this a lot quicker and in less detail than we usually do, but I think it should suffice, and hopefully you guys will forgive me for one lazy off season. I appreciate everybody being so active and helping pick up the slack while I've not been always there as fast as I normally am. So, 2023 previews, nailed Marty as the champion. The year of Marty, I was right. But the rest of the previews were ugly. You'll see here the final ranks versus the predictions that I gave and the number the VC gave, all over the place. Big thing to take away from this jumbled mess is that there's nothing to take away. The R squared is very low. Everything's all over the place. We can see our outliers. Wes outperformed significantly. Grant outperformed still significantly, although not as highly as he'd like. Bill was a huge underperformer, and really what threw everything off. Bill, of course, underperformed at the start of the season, got a few games back, even though he was predicted to be very top, number 2, right behind Marty. And once he decided to sell, the balance, everything fell to pieces. I like that. Says that while I have been very accurate some years, not all the time. I can't be all the time. And if you have a lower ranking, you still have plenty of opportunity to jump in there and make a good playoff run. Now, 2024, the outset looks very similar. Similar number of teams at the top, and one big outlier at the bottom, just like I was last year, and then a bunch of tightly packed teams in the center of the tier list that each have their own different strengths. Now, one big difference this year is value shift. Compared to 2023, keepers are being kept 10 picks later, and they're ranked slightly higher on Fantasy Pros rankings as of when I put these slides together. Now, this was the 2023 graph for expected value shift, and you'll see we did have really quick value shift drop off in the second round. We got up to about 10 by pick 24. That made the second round a bit of a bloodbath last year, but it pretty much maintained there until it came down around pick 85. It didn't get much higher than, I don't think it ever got to even 11. I think 10 was the max. 2024, though, with keepers being kept much later, the value shift kind of builds on itself like a snowball. So we're not quite as fast through the first 2 rounds, but it just keeps going up. And we peak at around 16 or 17. I think at one point in my estimates, it hit 18. Which means that this 61 or pick 60 to pick 85 is going to be really messy. If you are counting a lot on your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, just realize that you could be looking 15 guys past what the rankings are because value shift is going to be so high this year. It's not detrimental to, I mean, it's not something that the league can't get past. It's just something to keep in mind. Now, let's go ahead and start our previews. We're going to look at Stan first, picking at 3rd overall. He moved up, made a deal with Wes to get the 4th pick in the second round. He has no 8th round pick, which will come into play with his keepers. So far, he has Drake London in there. Round 3, he can have him pick 27. He's going in the second round. ECR is 18. London's in this spot. I don't really like, even in a non-keeper league, the second half of the second round this year. It just feels like a lot of question marks and a lot of messiness to me. But if Stan can maybe trade for a later 3rd round pick, suddenly you're looking at great value here. London could be very good. Maybe it's because I live in Atlanta and I hear the Southern equivalent of pessimistic Yinzer Steeler fans. The passing game, I like Kirk Cousins. I just wouldn't bet on it and count on it with a second round pick. But if Stan can use a late third on London, I like that. Rasheed Rice he has in there right now, and there's not much of a difference between where he can keep him and his value, but I think Stan sees him as more of a multi-year keeper. Zay Flowers, another option, and Dak. Stan would need to go get an eighth to really utilize it, but he can be kept. I have it at 75 right now because that's his seventh round pick. But if he could get back in the eighth and pick him around 88, ECR 62, I like having a keeper, having a quarterback or a tight end keeper, lock those positions away, and then you don't need to think about them. I'm wondering if Stan will reach for a running back at third overall since he's keeping presumably at least two wide receivers. VC comes in at 280.86. It's about 5 to 10 below the average, middle of the pack, and Stan gets slotted in right in the B tier. Next, Banas. 2 first-round picks. Thank you, Grant. And then his keepers really only provide depth. So he can keep Calvin Ridley, round 9, pick 98, ECR 70. There's your flex, wide receiver 3. Taken care of, Devin Singletary, round 10, pick 119, ECR 101. Another depth piece. So Banas' VC is very high, 342, 56. That's gonna be something that gets you in an A tier no matter what. But he's got to nail those 2 first because his next pick is 211. So after we've had some value shift, and of course he will have the turn there. He'll have a high third round pick. I just am concerned with the teams right now that are going to have to rely on that depth. So I think Banas is a top team, obviously top half, very top tier. I have him in A, just not quite as high, we'll see by the end of this, as his calculation, the VC, would suggest. Bill is the best draft board of all time, maybe ever. But the one thing that could be holding him back is that value shift. It's not really going to matter because the board is so good. Let's look at that specifically. Pick 5 overall. He's got an extra second, extra third, extra fourth, extra fifth, extra sixth, and then nothing. 11 to 14, just that 115th round pick. It's insane. Bill is going to be able to take any shot he wants. If he has players outside the top 20 that he really wants, he's going to be able to get them. Now, as far as keepers go, Dalton Kincaid, round 10, pick 118, ECR 65. That's really nice. Should be a multi-year keeper, and I like to have tight end wrapped up. Chris Olave, round 4, pick 48, ECR 17. Good value there, even though he falls into that same as London, where I personally don't like him as high as he's ranked this year, but if you can keep him in round 4, great. Jaden Reed and an option, probably not going to do that with already having Kincaid, and Jameson Williams technically would be an option if he saw him as more of a long-term thing, but I really see Bill just keeping Kincaid and Olave. Highest VC ever, didn't quite break that 400 mark, 396.85, and I say, Bill, you got to go upside. Every pick, if there's an argument why this guy is low floor, high ceiling, take that guy. Don't take safe things. Value shift could be a bit of a killer. With as great as the draft board is, there are going to be some disappointments where he just doesn't quite get the value that he'd like at certain picks. But Bill still is the favorite this year. Can't lie. He's in the S tier, and I will spoiler that he is alone up there because of how big the gap is. Marty, let's talk about the reigning champion. Picking 10th overall, he has no second. Very worth it to get the ring. And he's below average following the ship, but I don't think he's going to complain. Keepers, he could keep Josh Allen if he could go out and get a second round pick. Allen ranked 19 in the ECR right now. Don't see how he has the resources to do that, but I wanted to mention it anyway. Evan Ingram, pick 87, round 8, ECR 73. Pretty good value. Lock up your tight end. You got that from the trade with me, so good job planning a little bit for the future, even while pursuing the ship. And Michael Pittman, round 4, pick 39. His ECR right now is 20. I can keep repeating the thing about those second round guys, but again, if you're going to have him in round 4, I like it a lot. Marty's VC is only 230. Low first round picks, not great. He's going to need something. There's not a Puka every year. but he's going to need somebody big that he hits late if he wants to have a shot at it this year, and this isn't just a rebuild. But it can be done. Look at West last year coming in second. I put Marty down in the C tier solidly, not a plus or a minus. Next, let's talk about Swan. Assume he's keeping Justin Jefferson at the end of the first. He has round two, pick two, Achane, and Kyler Murray for keepers. That's his core. Got a wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Love that. But he has no sixth, eighth. He's traded those for a ninth and 12th. And of course, Jefferson, to keep him, he has to use his first round pick. So essentially no first, just Jefferson in exchange. Achane, of course, pick 110 is a great spot to have him, and hopefully for multiple years for Swan. ECR is 37. Kyler Murray looks like a great value too, and from what I can see, hype around him is going up. Pick 155 and ECR 59 could be another Patrick Mahomes thing where we just see Swan have the same quarterback for many years. Like the spread, like the value there. It's just the middling draft board. There's not quite enough to pop off the screen for Swan to break him out of where his calculated VC would put him, and I have him right behind Stan. I like Stan's ability to still go out and improve his stock before the draft, get a later third, get an eighth to keep Dak, that kind of thing. Talking about Big Paw next. Picking 7th overall, he has an extra third and a 6th, only 1/8, which will come into play for keepers, and his keepers are not really high end, they're more depth pieces. Zeus, Zamir White, if Pa were to go and get another 8th round pick, he could be had. His ECR is 77 right now. Parker's 8th must be pick 90, and I have his 7th round plugged in there to keep Trey McBride, whose ECR is 47. Again, good value. Is the tight end locked in? Isaiah Pacheco is good at round 6, pick 66. And I think that was a last second decision by Pa last year to keep him in the 8th. So really nice. Coming in as a multi-year keeper, ECR 38. That's good for Pa, especially because, running backs, you got 2 guys there who are the lead back on their team very clearly. I think I know, go Dogs. But I think Zeus is a great value there if he can go out and get a later 8th pick to use on him. Parker's VC comes in at 294.7. No need to reach for running back. Where was his at 7th overall? That'll be really nice because some people are going to be desperate for a running back, so he should have his pick from good wide receivers. He is clearly, to me, a tier above these Stan and Swans, at least coming into it. I have him at B+. I arguably could have put him at A-, but I like him in B+. He is closer to those guys than he is to Banas. Next, Max, 1st overall pick, and Garrett Wilson, but no 4th, 6th, and his 2nd is a late one. Max's keepers, Anthony Richardson at pick 96, looks really good. People are really banking on him coming back from missing most of his rookie season, just running quarterbacks, cheat code. ECR is 46 right now. That's good, although Max may feel like he has to draft a backup quarterback. I'm not sure. Garrett Wilson, top 10 pick. He can have him at 53. That's good. So you're going to have probably McCaffrey plus Wilson. That's your core. Richardson, you have quarterback lockdown. It's just that after that, Max doesn't have much. Now, his VC is 307.12, which is good. It's better than Paz, not up in the Banas tier. But when I look at Max's page and his setup with that, and I know I'm talking about this is kind of counter to what I said because the value shift's not good. You don't really want to be reliant on the middle rounds, but I'm really worried that Max isn't going to have any kind of depth. And I describe it here as unsettling. When I see his draft board, it's a little unsettling to me. I actually have Max lower than the numbers show. I have him down in the B tier right behind Swan. Next, let's talk about Wes. Wes, very excited on draft day last year that he got Breece Hall in the 4th round, knowing that he had good potential to have keeper value this year. Traded his 1st to me for the 3rd pick in the 2nd round, and he has the 10th pick in round 2 as well. No 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, but he does have an extra 4th to make up for that no 5. Keepers, Pickens, in round 7, ECR 55, so there's a wide receiver 2-3 borderline. We'll see how Pickens can do with a new quarterback situation. Obviously, a lot of room for growth or loss there. I don't see Goff as a keeper. I see West going with Rashad White, ECR 40, pick 94. He can be kept. It's very good. It's about the equivalent of Parker's Pacheco. And then Brees Hall, round 2 later, now that West did a maneuver with Stan to get a later second round, he can have him at pick 22. ECR is 7. So he's got his first round value wrapped up by making some clever moves. VC comes in at 256.8. Has Brees, White, 2 running backs is really nice to have. He knows who his RB1 and 2 are, plus Pickens. And a lot of this is just my gut. We'll see how this plays out. I have Wes in the middle of the B tier, which, along with Max, this is the farthest that I go outside of what the algorithm says. Wes seems to be really on his game this year. Enthusiasm's high. He's making all these deals. I think he has his strategy down pat. Max is having a baby. He's worrying about those frivolous things rather than fantasy football. I like West to outperform again, just like he did last year. Minney, picking right at that turn, as he loves to and always seems to grab when we do draft pick order, pick 12 and 13. He also has an extra 4th, but his keepers are weak. So he can keep Brock Purdy at pick 85, ECR 74. James Cook, ECR is behind where he would keep him, but accounting for value shift plus go dogs, he could be a good value there, arguably, and you'll know where you get him. But that's really stretching it to take somebody 9 ranks below their pick. And Tyjae Spears, can have him in round 9, pick 108. ECR is 93. It makes sense as a depth pick, but none of that is really helping you. So Minney, with value shift, is looking at not having a top 15 player coming out of the draft. And I just can't get enthused about that. So this VC is 276, thanks to good middle everything depth, plenty of opportunity. Obviously, he's set up to where he can make the best of this situation, but it's not exciting to me. I have him down at a B minus, a little bad, probably where West should be based only on VC, but that's just how I'm thinking about things this year. Okay, this should be fun. Grant's first pick is round 4, pick 7. He does have ETN and Puka, which is nice. ETN he can keep at pick 67. ECR is 21, so you're getting a late second there. And Puka Nakua should be keeping for multiple years. Pick 91, ECR is 12, so a borderline first round player, borderline second round player, and then nothing. Of course, he has to use his 6th and his 8th on that. Grant is going to be drafting a lot of what I assume are potential keepers for next year. VC is the worst in ever that this league has seen, 170.41. Not much to be said. Grant gets his own little spot of shame down in the D tier. I was there last year, buddy. Of course, I have 4 rings to make me sleep better at night, but let's talk about my team. I have 4th overall, 9th overall, Nico Collins, Sam Laporta, Tank Dell. That's the core. I swapped my 4th for Wes's 5th, and I don't have an 8th after that trade either. But this is a good setup. I have to. I don't know. I feel like I really need to bounce back here. I've never had 2 losing seasons in a row, and last year was obviously a train wreck. And Derek and I are ready to get back at it. Tank Dell, ECR is 57, keeping him really light, 141. Laporta, that pick's not right. That's probably before I traded West to get the second 12. He's around the 130s too, but ECR 29. Laporta is a lot of people's tight end 1 this year. Nico Collins, great season last year. ECR is 26, and I can have him at pick 100. So you got a wide receiver, solid wide receiver 2, flex, high upside guy, and top tight end locked up. No running backs. Gonna have to figure that out. The VC's 366.85, second only to Bill. The Diggs trade hurt, and that's, you got a great passing game, and I got the 2 guys and they go out and pick up somebody really good. They trade to get somebody really good, and it's just a mess. But I'm really happy that I get to keep those guys now because I wouldn't be taking Nico or Tank at value this year. But they're still great values where I'm able to keep them. A big thing here, Derek and I ran a lot of numbers and kind of war gamed a lot to decide whether to take Wes's trade to trade the third pick in the second round for the ninth pick in the first round. And we're hoping that 1-9 is above what's going to be a cliff, a tier cliff where you don't feel as good. That's really kind of key to the draft because Collins, Laporta, Dell, those aren't league winners. So if I want to capitalize on this high VC, have to make the most of the value in those first two picks. I do have me at an A+. I don't think it's good enough of a position to be in the S tier with Bill, but I am clearly, I think, half tier above Banas. And now our last team, Mark. Mark has 8th overall plus Jamar Chase. Sick of him having Jamar Chase, although with injuries didn't have to see him much last year. And Kyron Williams, last year's very nice surprise. Mark also has an extra 7 to go with an otherwise normal draft board. You can keep CJ Stroud as well as Chase and Kyron, and I recommend he does. I don't have it marked here that he has an extra 8, so he would have to go find one. But with Stroud having an ECR of 52, coming off of a great rookie season, so you got potential multi-year there, I think Mark would be wise to go get another 8th and keep Stroud. Chase, pick 32 for a top 5 player. Love it. Kyron, ECR 27. Pick 89, love that too. And this is that perfect blend of high end depth and the position spread, assuming he keeps Stroud, quarterback, low end RB1, high end RB2, top 4 wide receiver. Mark's coming in a great spot to draft where he has that flexibility because he already knows what his core is. VC's only 331.35, but I have him above Banas. I have Mark in my tier, but behind me as an A+. And this is your final tier list for this year's previews. Looking at the summary of it, got Bill up at the top solidly, then Mark and myself. Really got the 4 big guys who are above 300. Parker, kind of the most obvious challenger. Then your 4 Stan West, Swan, Max, and I'd throw Minney in there too. Those are the guys who all have they're looking to separate. They need something to go right to separate. Marty and Grant probably rebuilding. Looking splitting it up by conference. In the N64 conference, you got the 2 top teams, me and Bill, which I roll. It's going to hopefully be a fun fight for that conference championship. Or who knows? Our teams could both just collapse like Bills did last year. Then you got Pa, Wes, and Max all fight, who are all playoff viable with only Grant down at the bottom. The N64 conference does look stronger. The PlayStation conference, you have Mark and Banas are your 2 favorites by far. And then really everybody else could challenge for that 3rd spot. Marty, I wrote off on the last slide, but looking at the conference makeup, there's no reason he can't get that 3rd playoff spot and have another run. So I wouldn't write that off entirely either. I hope you guys don't mind that this was a little less detailed than you normally would get, but you understand my circumstances. It looks like we're really going to have a great year, and I will be back to my normal productivity once the season starts. So everybody, good luck with your draft prep. I will see you virtually on the draft day in September. Thanks, guys.